Hey YouTube, iOS Expert 649. As you can see, the date and time settings do look different on iPadOS 27.0, and also this is pretty good news. Now, unfortunately, we did lose the iPad. I think the Mini 5. So we lost the iPad Mini 5, iPad, Pro 4th generation, or 3rd generation, excuse me. The third one created in 2018. Both 11, 12.9-inch models. We lost the 3rd gen iPad Pro, iPad Mini 5, iPad 8, as well as the iPad Air 3. So those iPads are stuck at 26. But the good news is the iPhone 11 did not get stuck at iOS 26, and the 12.9-inch, the 2020 iPad Pro does have an Intel baseband, and Apple also does not let you put the date past 2069. So this is really good. This is how I like to see it, because, you know, you can't go past either. Yeah, this is actually, I'm actually very happy with this, because you can't really go outside of the range that you would expect. So this is iPadOS, 27 now. It's iPadOS 27 that does this, so you can't really go past 2069, and you can also update to this on the iPhone 11. And the oldest iPad supported is an Intel iPad Pro with an Intel baseband. So this is really, really good news. And even if the iPad Pro with A12Z weren't supported, the iPads with Wi-Fi only basebands are pretty good shape. The Intel baseband iPads are in pretty good shape in terms of support. And that's something I like to always see with the Intel baseband. With the Intel baseband, the iPads are pretty well supported. So yeah, with the Intel baseband. So yeah, if you have an iPad with an Intel baseband, this is how I like to see things, because yeah, this means that if you have an iPad with an Intel, if you have any iPad, first of all, if you have a Wi-Fi only iPad, I wouldn't have even been worried, because what my iPad, you could see there's no cellular model. This isn't a cellular iPad that I'm recording with. This iPad 9th generation is Wi-Fi only model. But I'm also very happy because the iPhone 11 was supported, as well as the A12Z iPad Pro. I said the A12Z iPad Pro was getting supported, and I also said that the iPad Mini 5 was supported, and I was completely right about the iPhone 11, and I was hoping, but I also was kind of freaking out about the rumors and what this might mean for this behavior. But it looks like Apple's listening to us, it seems like. And it definitely seems like Apple is listening to us, so thumbs up for that, It looks like Apple is definitely listening to us in terms of the baseband, because, the oldest Intel, or the latest, the only iPad left that's an Intel baseband, this is the iPad that would save all Qualcomm Snapdragon cellular iPads, is that the baseband Intel Cellular iPad Pro from 2020 with the A12Z chip. That is the oldest device supported with iPadOS 27. And yeah, I'm actually very, very, very pleased with this, because the iPad A12, this means that your iPad is also going to be safe. Even if you have a cellular iPad, you're going to be safe, because the A12Z iPad Pro is supported. Just not the A12X. So basically, iOS 26, we lost support for A12. iOS 27 lacks support for A12X. So it's basically any device from A12 A13 for the iPhones and iPad 9 on up is supported. So basically, I haven't tested for myself or actually seen other people test it on the iPad Mini 5, but I have heard some reports that the Mini 5 is not supported. Of course, I'll keep you updated if I do find out that it is supported on iPadOS 27. But I don't think the Mini 5 is supported because I figured that only one generation was going to be dropped. I figured either all iPads are supported or the iPhone 11 was going to be supported. I guaranteed basically vastly 100% that the A12Z iPad was going to be supported. I was completely right about the iPhone 11. I was completely right. Or I wasn't completely right. I mean, I did make a little bit of an error. I was pretty much close to being right about. I thought the iOS 27 icon was going to be just a little refined version of the 26 icon. I thought that the 27 icon was going to be a refined version of the 26 icon. I said the 11 and iPad Mini 5 and other iPads had a 50% chance of getting 27. And the A12Z iPad, that one was for sure. I was pretty much saying that the iPhone 11 and iPad Mini 5 and other iPads with the A12X chip all had a 50-50 chance of getting iOS and iPadOS 27, but I was pretty much for sure that the iPad Pro with the A12Z chip was also going to be supported because Apple never cuts out 2 iPads at a time. They usually only cut out one. And so what that basically tells us is that, yes, the iPhone 11 is supported. Yes, the A12Z iPad and iPad 9 are also both supported. What's not going to be supported, to my understanding, is the iPad Mini 5. So the oldest iPads with the A12X chip is basically what's not going to be supported with iPadOS 27. So it's basically any A13, A12Z and up is supported with this new version of iPad and iOS 27. So I'm very happy with that because I know the cellular iPads are safe because the iPad Pro is supported. The 4th gen iPad Pro with A12Z, I know that iPad is supported, which has the Intel baseband. The iPhone 11 with the Intel baseband is also supported. And also every Wi-Fi only iPad, like the iPad 9, obviously minus the Mini 5 and iPad 8 at this point. I feel like those two are dropped, as well as the iPad Air 3 and 3rd gen iPad Pro. So they dropped support for some older iPads that only had the A12 and A12X chip, but they only supported A12Z and A13 and later. So I'm very, very happy with the results. That to me is a fair call. As you see, you can put the date past 2038, but you cannot go past 2069. They supported all iPhones that support iOS 26 on iOS 27, and most iPads on iPadOS 26 onto iPadOS 27. Again, some older iPads like the Mini 5, Air 3, and 2018 iPad Pro, and I believe the iPad 8, and I believe that's it. I feel like the A12, the A12X, or not the A12X, the A12Z iPad Pro is supported, as well as the iPhone 11. So those are probably in the same ballpark, and then the iPad 9. So we'll probably get iPadOS 28. So basically, if my prediction is correct, I would say the iPad 9 would get iPadOS 28. Meanwhile, the iPhone 11 and iPad A12Z would be stuck at 26. It's just my thoughts about this. Obviously, we could be right, we could be wrong. I'm just very, very glad to see the iPhone 11 live on for another year and bypass this issue, because you can see it is very, very smooth, just like it is on iOS 6. Obviously, it's not terribly smooth yet because it is a beta, but I am actually very, very shocked that this 2038 bug has basically been addressed on iPadOS and iOS 27. Now, just a heads up, if your device has already been bricked on 26.0. If your device, when I already tested this. This is a secure enclave fix for the 2038 bugs. So this is a secure enclave fix, SEP, for the 2038 bugs. So if your Qualcomm Snapdragon device has already been bricked, this is only going to make it worse. But if you have if your device is not, but if you have never touched the date and time on your device, right? Like you've never touched the date and time on your device, or you have never bricked your device, that means my iPhone 11, this iPad 9, then I can set it as far into the future as I want until I reach 2069 and I'm good. So again, 26, be careful. 27, you're pretty safe. As long as your device has never been bricked, because the secure enclave has officially established it. And yeah, so if you've been following me this entire time, your iPad's never been bricked, then your iPad's gonna be fine on this version. And same thing goes for other iPhones that have never been bricked. You know, they've done the reset process to whatever date, you know. Now, warning, I wouldn't put it past, warning though, I probably wouldn't put it past this date. I wouldn't set the date past this. Yeah, I wouldn't put the date past this, you know, the old calendar app icon. Because as you probably know, this is not a 6-7 joke, by the way. As you probably know, this is the oldest date, or the most furthest in the future date you could possibly set up on an iOS 4 calendar app. So this is the furthest in the future you can possibly put the date on an iOS 4 calendar application, and therefore, I think on like iOS 3, it's like the calendar app goes from like 001 to this day in 2067, whereas the iPhone 3G, it's on iOS 4, it's capped from like 1970 to 2067. So I probably wouldn't put the date beyond 2067 until iOS 27 is you know, officially out. Just because this is a beta, you know, there are risks with putting the date past 2067. But honestly, I am shocked with how stable beta 1 is. And that is what this video is kind of about. And I'm also very happy to learn that the iPhone 11 will be supported on iOS 27. So I'm also very happy to learn that the iPhone 11 will be supported on iOS 27. I'll turn that on so I don't cross the date. But yeah, I'm very happy with that. I am very happy with this solid move by Apple. You know, the iPhone 11 supported, so I'm very happy with that. And, yeah, it seems like that because iPhones have not been, it seems like the iPhones that haven't been bricked by this before are never going to get bricked if you install iOS 27, obviously. Would I recommend doing this on a beta? Probably not. But did I want to do it anyway to verify this with my viewers? This is why I did it. This is why I installed iOS 27 on my iPad and iPhones, because, you know, would I recommend doing this on the beta? Probably not. But would I recommend doing it in the fall? Yeah, go ahead. If you go ahead and do this in the fall, you know. Yeah, and that's basically how I wanted to let you know about this. Thank you for watching, and as always, peace out.